Hi there, welcome to Soundpaint 3.2 beta. In a certain way, this is maybe our most significant release, and in other ways, it might not seem so right on the surface. Let me explain. When we're working on Soundpaint, we spend about half of our resources on you, our community. Really try to take your feedback to heart and discuss a variety of things on our Discord channel. We just love discussing with you guys and really appreciate the super enthusiasm we're getting and the crazy amount of suggestions. We probably have suggestions for the next 100 years of development. So we try to really work with what's the first order, what's most important for our community. And 3.2 really reflects that in every regard. And there are four highlights of 3.2 beta. The first one is that we've completely implemented our new downloader into Soundpaint. So when you buy a product, that means that essentially you can just download it straight through the engine. It's super easy. You just open up the downloader inside of Soundpaint and voila, all your downloads, all your freebies are available as well. As a part of 3.2 beta, we are also creating the underlying architecture for introducing community sharing, which is a little bit further down the lane. But I just want to be transparent that sometimes when we make these updates, it's also for what's coming a little bit down the lane. But first of all, we have the new downloader in here. Just click the cloud up here and you're good to go. Everything is available. Any freebie, you can just download it straight. We've also done some optimizations to the website in terms of how the website communicates with our downloader. Sometimes it can take a couple of seconds between your purchase to when it shows up in the downloader. So we've done a variety of optimizations in that regard in terms of making it easier and faster to connect from the web to the internal downloader in Soundpaint as well. But more importantly, and I want to say this is probably the one point we've heard the most times in terms of how can we make Soundpaint even better, is the fact you guys sometimes are considering the file size of our libraries. We have our own proprietary format called RTS, which stands for real-time samples. That's the stuff that allows us to morph between velocity layers or morph different instruments together. It's a larger file format, and sometimes it's just nice to have libraries that aren't that big. So with 3.2 beta, we are introducing PCM to Soundpaint, meaning that a variety of our future libraries are going to be using the PCM de facto sample gold standard. Think about Contact, think about Falcon. Virtually all major samplers out there are using PCM. And with PCM, we're also introducing the FLAC compression standard in future Soundpaint libraries as well. In our initial benchmarking, we've seen up to 10x reduction in file sizes, so you can only imagine for future releases that are PCM based that they're going to be notably smaller. Now, believe it or not, Soundpaint 3.2 beta has actually been in production for almost a year and a half. There's a variety of things that we won't be talking about in this video that's actually happening in the engine in preparation for Soundpaint 4.0. It all requires a variety of new technical wirings behind the engine. We essentially had to rebuild the engine from ground up because we got some ambitious ideas in terms of what we want to do in the future. And one of the most important components in that regard is high-resolution time stretchers. With Soundpaint 3.2 beta and all future versions, we now have a new time stretcher specifically for PCM-based products. We already have a time stretcher for RTS, but with the introduction of PCM, we decided to build a time stretcher from ground up. I wanted a high-resolution time stretcher that could match Time Machine Pro in Contact, also known as Elastic, something of really high resolution that can be used particularly on phrases and for a variety of more advanced acoustic material. But most importantly, do a time stretcher that can also pull a lot of voices off at the same time. The Time Pro module that we have for PCM is roughly 1% of a single core per voice. So I can easily play 60, 80 time stretch voices here without killing my computer. That's a new level of sonic freedom that I haven't felt in any current generations of sample engines. It's been a humbling amount of work to get to this point. Creating time stretchers is no easy feat, particularly when you want high resolution. Different materials react different time stretchers and so forth. So to create a universal time stretcher is a stretch in itself. Now, I did mention that there were 4 components I wanted to talk about. And the last component is not something I can show you in this video here because it's actually an underlying foundation we are creating with 3.2 beta for our Soundpaint 4.0 release. Soundpaint 4.0 for me is just my favorite Soundpaint release because it just ticks all my analog buttons, if you will. A lot of users have requested stuff like envelopes and filters and more analog sort of real synthesis, so you can get the engine to feel truly like an analog synthesizer. That's sort of the direction we're heading in. We call it coffee for now. Soundpaint 3.2 beta is a beta. We want to be open about that. We've done fairly rigorous beta testing internally, but it may be that the unlucky user out there, perhaps on a PC or the Windows system using Studio One, may witness a little bit of a slowdown. So that's why we're calling it beta, but it should be pretty good and robust out there. And it's a necessary step for us to get to Soundpaint 4.0. All these releases are magically tied together. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me geek out. Soundpaint to me is like a mad love-hate relationship. It is incredibly difficult to create an engine this level. As I mentioned, the Time-Stretcher alone, but also the introduction of PCM, our whole new per voice structure inside of it, all the benefits that comes with being able to reducing files down to PCM and FLAC format as well. So that's why I say it may not seem like so much upfront, but it's really a lot underneath the hood, and particularly with Soundpaint 4.0. Really can't wait to show you guys.